right, how's it going, everybody? It is episode 50. We've made it to the Big 5-0. Jordan and Hunter back with you here on Hawaii Football Now, presented by Xanthus. And hard to believe, it really honestly hasn't quite felt like 50 episodes, but yet here we are, in large part thanks to our sponsors, obviously our presenting sponsor, Xanthusin, obviously our other sponsors, Spectrum Mobile and Hawaii USA Federal Credit Union as well. Set to release this on Thursday, August 11th. Hunter and I record this Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Hawaii time, August the 9th. We are basically, 2.5 weeks away from the kickoff, August 27th, at home against Vanderbilt. We got a special guest. On the show. We've already had folks like guess it in the comments of previous episodes and whatnot. It's not like it's a huge secret or anything, but, we like to hype it up a little bit. And we will let you know exactly who that is. Our biggest guest yet on the show, I would say, right after we tell you about our good friends over at Xanthusin and this amazing supplement called Ask the Xanthin Hunter.
That's exactly right. I appreciate the tee up, and I'm going to kick it through the uprights. You may have heard about this amazing supplement called Astaxanthin, Jordan. Doctors and pharmacists recommend it for everything from joint and muscle function to cholesterol, health, and cognitive function, even anti-aging. But did you know that only one brand delivers 3 times more astaxanthin to your body, making it a better buy than the competition? Introducing Xanthusin, available at getxantho.com, Newtown Square Pharmacy, Down to Earth Kaka'ako, GNC stores, and Pharmacare Hawaii. Learn more at getxantho.com. I think we've held on a little long enough. Jordan, who is our guest today?
Yeah. We'll transition to the opening drive here, and fitting because we've got one of the all-time great quarterbacks in University of Hawaii history and the current head coach of the program, Timmy Chang, kind enough to join us. And, obviously we had to go big for episode 50. We planned ahead. We tried to make sure we could get Timmy. He was awesome. Recorded this, not this week, but a previous week, kind of leading up to camp before things got super busy, but we held on to it for episode 50. But I don't think anything really is dated in the interview. And we usually save these for the second half. But we're just going to roll into it, man. We're not going to keep the people waiting any longer. We're going to roll into our interview here with Timmy Chang as our game time segment here in the first half of this one. And roll in that, and then we'll be back to react to some of the comments that we heard from head coach Timmy Chang here on Hawaii Football Now.
This is Hawaii Football Now from ESPN Honolulu.
All right, Coach A, thanks a lot for jumping on with us. We know you have been incredibly in demand. You've probably answered, a million questions over the last week or so, kind of fresh off of Mountain West Media Days. First off, Media Days, is it fun? It's a lot. They ask a lot of you guys to go up there and you got to do the rounds. You're like on Radio Row, you're answering questions and all that. And then, of course, we get you like right after that. So, thanks for answering more questions for us. But Media Days, what's kind of like that? What's that kind of like for you, especially your first time through it?
I guess first time through was very exciting for me. I can't say the same for, the coaches that been there for 25 years and they got to do it every single week and every single year. But for me, it was exciting. It was new. Love the setup. My guy, Derek and Jay, they did a great job of just kind of taking me around, making sure I was in the right places. But the way that it was set up was pretty cool. Starting with TV people and Rob, and then moving over to newspaper and print with Stephen Tsai, and every city has their guys, and so you're talking to their guys, and then it's off down the stretch of radio, and so you're with John Vaneri and the boys, and so I had a really good time, and I look forward to many more.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, and it's great for fans, right? Getting a lot of the access, hearing a lot of the talk, and I kind of think of it as kind of the signal, right? Summer sort of coming to an end. Now we're getting into the season. Just kind of big picture. How has it been for you? How has everything gone here in your estimation? Just kind of big picture as you settle in here and get ready for camp to start.
Yeah, I believe the last time we had a sit down was my first day on the job here with our conference, and it was a whole bunch of media during that time, and all the local media, and doing the morning show with you guys, And so I guess we look at ourselves since January 28th, I believe that was 27th, somewhere around there, to this July 25th date, 1 day away from checking into camp. I mean, a lot has been accomplished. No, by no means in no stretch are we done yet. I mean, we haven't played a game, and Coach Charlie Wade reminds me all the time. I see him. He goes, "Hey, Coach, you're undefeated right now. You got to ride it." And so, and I enjoy that. But just talking about where we want to be as a university, as an athletic program. It hasn't been. I know this, when I played and all the teams were good, that's when we were at our best. Mm-hmm. And I remember all the basketball guys hanging out with Carl English and Lily and all these guys. I mean, all the teams were really great, and it just made for a great experience. And the state really, you started to go out and you started to see the H on everybody's hat and everybody's shirt, and they're proud. And that's where we want to be. And everything that we do here in this office at our athletic program and our football program it's for this university, it's for this state, and it's definitely for the kids, because they're the ones that are going to be out there representing us. And so, 6 months of great work. And the thing that I love the most probably in the last 6 months is how the community support has been overwhelming, and very supportive. We're telling our story, we're getting their back, and they understand that, hey, it might take a little bit, and we have a little bit of an inexperience, but by no means are these guys not working hard for them. And I think that's what I appreciate about our guys, and I really appreciate about our community. And they're going to be eager to start going at each other here shortly on Wednesday.
Yeah, Coach, from a player's perspective, from, the past couple regimes, I lived and played through the Chow into Rolo turnover, and, it very kind of eerily similar to where we were at, just 6-7 months ago, with the Graham era, and kind of flipping, into a new chapter. And from all of us, as former players, obviously, I'm in a media position right now. Just wanted to say thank you, a big mahalo. We couldn't be more thrilled right now. And I work at a golf course out here, and so I get to hear from season ticket holders, boosters, NACOA members, how excited people are from everything you just described. I don't know if the hype has ever been more lit coming into a season, man. And so we just join in the celebration with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's everybody all unified and put together, right? I mean, it's the community and the state support. And the thing about it is that I don't want to leave any island out. I want Molokai, I want Lanai, I want Maui, I want the Big Island, I want Kauai. I want all these guys to know that, hey, we're out here representing all of us, even the South Pacific Islands, we'll make our living down there too in recruiting. But I just want people to know that, hey, when we are out there, putting on and strapping it up and have that H on our helmet, man, we're going to play for you guys. And so it's been unbelievable. And these guys, the first thing that I did, getting this job was put together this coaching staff. And, the coaching staff has been unbelievable, and I tell them, you're in charge of your guys, they're your resume. And so when they're going out there and playing and competing, what do you want that film to show on your guys? And so, I think our guys know what's at stake, and when they know what to do. And so it's all about getting our players ready and peaking on these Saturdays. And so everything we do will be for our guys to get ready to peak, spiritually, mentally, and physically, so that they can go defend this state and play for us.
Yeah. Part of what we do on this podcast is just keep the ball rolling for football all year round. And so we've kind of tacked and tracked the whole process, from recruiting to off-season workouts, spring ball, everything, you have it. And one thing that we've noticed is not just the appreciation here locally, but nationally too, in terms of big time recruits. Putting that H hat up there with some of the biggest college football programs in the entire country. And I've always felt, whenever I talk with my buddies, that Hawaii should never come in second, third, fourth place to any other schools in the Mountain West. We should own those guys when it comes to recruiting. Where do you want to spend footballs more? In Fresno, California, or Honolulu, Hawaii? And I feel like you guys have fully captured that and really epitomized what it could be like to come and play for this brotherhood, man. I mean, it's just so fun.
Yeah, and it's I think when we sat here in January, we talked about recruiting a little bit, and we're being just what happened nationally, where a lot of our production has left: quarterback, stud linebacker, running back, receiver, and it was totally a different approach on what I just did and what we just did at Colorado State. Going from Nevada to Colorado State 8 days before signing day, and really flipping a bunch of guys and signing 22 of 32 scholarships. Really could have signed all 32 if Coach let us, but we didn't have a defensive staff in place, and so we flipped all those guys at Colorado State. We fast forward, I get hired here in January, and then we just took an approach where, hey, let's not rush it, let's not stress out admissions, and let's do this thing right, and let's find out what we really have. Let's look at our roster. What's still here that we're going to lay our hat on, and we're, these guys that stayed, all the respect to the guys, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, safeties, receivers, they had a chance to leave, but they stuck out the process, and really they didn't know what to expect. But I could not have been more proud to start my first year under these guys that wanted to be here, that laid the foundation on what we're about to build. And so just watching spring, we went right into a dead period, couldn't talk to recruits, couldn't bring them on campus, couldn't recruit. And we just kind of identified needs, things that we want. We kept watching our guys work out in the morning, just get around them in the weight room, seeing who we had, building the relationship with those guys. Then we fast forward March, April, May, we got to see our guys move around, and then we got to identify, okay, we're going to need these things. We're going to need this. We're going to need that. And also taking best available throughout the country. And so we're probably, I don't know the statistic, but I got to assume that we had the most scholarships at that point in the country heading into spring ball. And so, very strategically, we just started to pick guys and recruit guys, and really, Hawaii is, like you said, Hawaii is, it's beautiful, right? Our people are beautiful, the culture is beautiful, the language, the music, of course, the beautiful tropical setting. But we play some damn good football, and it gets raised right here. We produce some really good football, right? And so these guys these guys are coming in for that opportunity to be here on this island with us. But it takes specific guys. You can't just take everybody, because everybody doesn't fit and mesh into what we do here. And so you really want to get the guys that are going to buy in, that want to be here. And that's when we make a good living. And historically, those are the guys that really get developed and have a chance to move on to the next level, or raise their roots out here. And Hawaii's always a part of their life, whether they're here or they go back to the mainland or from wherever they're from.
Yeah, I'm looking at my guy Hunter here, right? It's interesting, Coach, because so much of that, like the task at hand for this coaching staff to come together quickly, to hit the recruiting trail and fill those needs, as you point out. There's a lot of familiarity on this staff, guys that well, guys that you played with, guys that have ties to Hawaii. How important was it to bring in guys to fill out your staff that were going to kind of be able to get going really quickly, and I'd imagine a bunch of guys that you trust pretty well?
Yeah, you start with, well, let's start with the unknown, and the guy that I talked to, one of the first guys I talked to was Ian Shoemaker, our offensive coordinator. Know about him, know what he has done right? Didn't have a prior relationship. He was going to Northern Iowa, I believe, at the time. And just getting to know him, talk to him, loved what our offense could be, added in the aspect of my knowledge of offense as well as some of our coaches. And so he was a good coach. Coach Shoemaker was a good starting point to start to build around and get the grassroots. Now you go and get a guy like Roman Sapolu, whose dad is world famous Hall of Famer. One of my personal favorites when I was a little kid, of Jesse Sapolu, and you bring in Roman, and I've watched Roman because we compete against each other every single year when he was at Fresno, and so I watched his body of work and what he was doing. And I thought, hey, that'd be a great fit, great narrative, great story. He gets to come back, represent Dad's home place, and then you start to move into the Jared Ursuas, who I've met over and over and over on the recruiting trail. What a great guy. Keiki Misapeka, another guy that I played with, but also we've been talking for years about this moment and having this moment here and what he brings to the table, and then I bring in Sheffield with the Brotherhood tattoo. Gosh, man, talk about a guy that's committed, right? But that's my brother, that definitely he's my brother from another mother. And so, what we do on special teams together, he knows that he has I was his eyes for the last 2 years in the booth on special teams. I'm the guy that when something doesn't look right, hey, let's think about doing this. And so when we collab and get on the same page, it's unbelievable. And very, we love coaching special teams together. Now he's a tight end coach and my associate head coach. And that's why I wanted him to be, I wanted him to be right by my side. Then you look at the defensive side, which I'm pretty proud of, is that you're giving Jake Yorl, one of my St. Louis, brotherhood guys, you give him an opportunity to coach, and coordinate his own defense. And I loved what Jake's been doing here at the university for the last 6 years. He's been under some great guys in Batoon and Todd Graham, and he has that mind. And I think it's his time to go out there and call this thing, but also putting him around defensive coordinators that he's worked with already. You talk about Josh Brown, who was the defensive coordinator at Cal Poly when Jake was there, and you bring him from UTEP and you add him into the mix. It's a guy that I worked with at Nevada for a bowl game, and you bring Etienne, who was a Eastern Washington's defensive coordinator, and you bring him and you add him to the mix, and they were all together at one point. And so being familiar and having that continuity is important. And so, adding Chris Brown, I thought was a key piece, especially in recruiting, especially another defensive coordinator of mine, but understands the culture, understands that will die for this place. If you ask him, and he loves this place so much. And of course, my teammate, Abe Elaminian, who has been here for forever, and he just stays consistent. Abe is one of them silent guys, but what his mindset, and me, I played with this guy. In fact, we talk about media day. That was my senior day media guy. That was my partner going up there to Reno. And so love Abe, and I really just love our staff. I kind of took my time talking about these guys, but the one thing that these guys do is that they're on the same page, right? They're better people than they are coaches. And that's important, because then now the kids can feel them. They understand that we care about them, not on the field, right? This is big business stuff. And I tell our kids that this is big business. We got to win. But how do we get the best out of these guys? Well, we got to care about them. We got to tell them we love them. They got to know that, hey, coach will be here for you. Come play for us, because us coaches will be here for you guys. And so, when you put all that together, I think that's what's really been going on the last 6 months.
Yeah, I love it, man. I mean, just going through the entire staff, you can see the passion I think that you have for these guys, and I think that's been reciprocated 10 times over. One other thing that I've noticed, and we've talked about it a little bit on the show as we've had different guys on, whether it was Shoemaker or others. A lot of these guys have kind of cut their teeth coaching at lower levels. I mean, we're talking guys that have done it at high school. We're talking guys that have done it NAIA, D3, D2, yourself, right? Starting off and getting a lot of experience coaching at lower levels where you don't have the stud recruits. You really got to teach. You really got to, develop players as you bring them in. I don't know if that was necessarily exactly what you were going for, but is there some value to that where these guys now getting their opportunity to do it at the highest collegiate level, at the FBS level? They've had a lot of experience, whether it be 1AA or, as I mentioned, all the way down to like teaching high school and getting into it, kind of at the foundation of the game, if you will. Is there any value to that, or is it kind of just, kind of coincidence that these guys all kind of took that path?
I think there is, everybody has a journey. Everybody has their own path in which they created. And I think that's just part of the experience and who they are and what they bring to the table, and everybody's journey is different, right? I'm with, I've been around young studs. I've helped, a guy a guy that was with us as a GA at Nevada quickly became, he left to go back to his alma mater for 1 year. A job came open. I switched over to a spot, we quickly brought him in, and now he's a young stud coach, at Colorado State. Now, not everybody has that type of journey, it doesn't happen that fast for everybody, but definitely with the group of guys that we have here, I think if you were to ask them, the appreciation of where they're at and where they came from will definitely always pop up, right? Especially during the grind and the hard times, because that's what's really about to happen here. There's a grind to this profession, right? We're entertainers. We get these 18 to 22-year-olds to entertain for the country, and for states, and especially our community. We love it, but behind the scenes, these coaches, it's 7 days a week. It's 16, 17, 18-hour days some days. Some days not, but I mean, it is a definite grind to it. And what I think where the value and the experience and the appreciation comes is that when they think about where they were to where they are now, there's a great deep appreciation. And I think that plays into a factor. And but when you're at the lower levels, I loved it when I loved it when I could go to high schools or JUCOs, and I could see and talk to high school coaches, and the high school coaches at the lower levels. I mean, some of these places, they don't have the luxury of recruiting kids, so it's kind of whoever falls in their lap based on the family tree and things like that. Their offenses and defenses start to change based on personnel, or you go to different places and people are so happy just coaching because they're in this certain community, or there's certain style of living and those type of things. And so I love how football kind of, whether you're in high school or JUCO, or you come up to the Division 3, 2, NAIA, FCS, FBS, the journey is really everything, right? It kind of makes you who you are. And then what happens is that your families and your kids, they get to embark on the journey with you. My kids, you look at their passport, half of them are born in Canada, two of them are born in Reno, and then, they've lived in Hawaii now, some of them live in Texas, Mississippi, Virginia, Canada, Nevada. I mean, it's just part of that story and that journey. And it makes for good memories.
That's awesome, man. And Coach, I kind of wanted to transition now to the team and the football side of things. With, by the time this episode airs, we'll be 2 weeks into camp. Yep. And everything that you want in a good team is there, at least from an outside perspective. You want a good message, a rallying cry for the guys. You want a sense of unity. And from talking to teammates of mine that are still on the team, it's there. It feels like this brotherhood mentality has created that family. And in my mind, the best teams have always been families. And from, a football perspective, that's really just the last piece is, are we going to be ready come August 27th for Vandy when they come to town? And so, given the 4 weeks of camp, what are you guys trying to establish? If you could, epitomize it in just a couple words to be ready for when they come to town.
Yeah, it's cutting the curve on the inexperience. That's exactly what we're trying to do. Okay. These games are won and lost by small individual or big individual or team little things here and there, right? A technique here, a fundamental flaw here, your eyes bad there, your feet not in position here. Something's going to come down to these games. The margin of error is so small, but the great teams have that they have that experience, they have that knowledge, they have that resilience about them that no matter what happens, they just keep moving forward, making plays, doing their job, right? And so, some of these guys have not had that opportunity yet for whatever reason. Now, these next 4 weeks is just making sure that our minds are right, our bodies are right, our scheme is right. Our staff has to put these guys in position to succeed. Our guys have to know what success looks like. You can talk about it, right? But until you understand, you put yourself out in that position, what does it feel like to be on that field at 4:00 kickoff versus Vandy? What's about the first quarter? They're going to make plays. Adversity will hit, right? How do you respond to those deals? And the only way you get that is by doing it, And so really what we're trying to do is just make these guys sound at their fundamental and techniques, understanding that, hey, it's going to come, it's going to happen. Remember this, trying to prepare their mind for all these scenarios and different things that are going to happen. But understand this, that, hey, just play fast. You're in that position, see it mentally. Okay. Nothing really changes from practice to film watch to film studies. There'll just be 9,000 screaming fans out here. And you just got to remember your fundamental and technique during that time and go play fast and make plays. If I'm on defense, go get me that ball, get the 3 and out, get off the field. If I'm on offense, right, do my job, right? Protect, understand how protection is, understand how we're blocking on the perimeter, understand how we're catching the ball, where the spots are, how are we reading defenses, getting to leverage, getting to the pukas in the defense where we need to get to. If I'm the quarterback, I'm distributing the ball, whether I'm handing it off or I'm reading it and pulling it, or I'm throwing it outside, or I'm making a simple read, like if the cornerback's out, throw the 5-yard hitch, make these guys tackle. So you just got the football part never changes, right? But the guys do change. And you got to get them humming and synchronized in on and off the field, building great habits. I love where our team is at. The thing that you just would wish is that they had experience, but that will come over time. And so, no against the SEC opponent in our house, but that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, like you said, you can't get experience until you get it, right? There's no other way to do it until you go through it. Hey, Coach, we really appreciate it, man. This is a big episode for us. It's episode 50, so we feel lucky we got you on, especially as busy as you are right now, coming off all the media requirements. Now you get into the fun stuff as camp is getting started here. Looking forward to this season, excited for Vandy on the 27th. We can't thank you enough, and we look forward to it, man. We're excited.
I appreciate you guys. Congratulations on the big 50 as well, man. That's huge.
Appreciate you. Yeah, they haven't kicked us off the air yet. So this is, we figured we'd try and get you on 50 so at least we could get to there because they're not going to bump us for the head football coach, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Well, I'm already committed to the 100th. And so
there we go. Bingo.
Yep. So,
baby.
Okay, we're gonna hold you to that. We may try and check in before then, but it's everybody we've gotten from the team, the staff, some of the players have been terrific, man. They really have. They've made themselves available, and I think they've kind of bought into the selling of the program that comes with some of these appearances and whatnot. It's been a blast to talk to everybody, and especially yourself. And again, excited for you, my man, and best of luck this season.
I appreciate you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys here shortly.
Right on, Coach.
All right.
This is Hawaii Football Now from ESPN Honolulu.
All right, back, Hunter and Jordan with you. A little reaction segment before we hit the halftime to that interview. He was awesome. He really was, Hunter. The guy was immediately giving of his time. He had just gotten back from Mountain West Media Days when we recorded that with him. And we thought, hey, we didn't want to keep him too long. We kind of had some questions lined up because I didn't know how talkative he was going to be.
He was eating poi donuts, Jordan.
The dude was the fueling up on poi donuts, ready to get after it, ready to get camp started. He was incredibly gracious with his time. You can hear the passion. And I think, first time we got to talk to him on the show. But I think if you're a Hawaii football fan, you got to feel pretty good that he's the guy leading this program into the future.
Absolutely. People even ask me right now, they're like, so how's the team? And I'm like, hey, we're undefeated. It's tough to get mad when we haven't lost any games just yet. But in all seriousness, Jordan, being around the program now for myself, this is the 5th coaching regime that I have been on island for. I don't know if there's ever been more preseason hype over a new coaching regime than this one. Coach Chang and his staff has done an absolutely stellar job, stellar in all caps, by the way, with completely turning our program around, invigorating the public and our focus and excitement for Hawaii football, reinstilling cultural elements, and bringing just a joy to UH football, like all of us I've come to know and love. And I tip my cap to him because few could have done a better job, in my opinion, in his first 7 months.
Yeah, it was a tall task. It was a tall task, and they've done a really good job, and they know as well as anybody it's got to translate to on-field production. But I think there's a lot to be excited about, and one thing to be excited about if we last that long. He promised us to episode 100, right? That's right. That's on the record. So, Coach, in a not quite a year's time, midsummer next summer, we're expecting Timmy Chang to be back on the show. Hopefully, maybe we can get him before then as well. But we've had a bunch of the staff, we've had some of the players, but Coach Chang as giving with his time, and he said he'd be back. So we're gonna hold him to that.
Kind of bouncing off that, I had a great conversation with Dave Matlin yesterday, who said he would be interested in jumping on the show.
Okay, there we go.
But back to Timmy, his contract backs that up. He should be here for episode 50, prayerfully. So as long as all goes well, oh my gosh, prayerfully. I'm not ready for a new coach, man. I'm hoping
some stability would be nice.
Oh my gosh, just some consistency, and I think Coach Timmy could be the coach of our future. And I am prophesying, Jordan, if you will, that he's going to be our guy for the next 6, 7, 8, 9 years. It would be fantastic if he, was stoked on staying home, building this place up, and we break that mold of every 4 years we start all over again. That is what makes me most excited about this staff, not just what they've done these last 6 months or so, but what the future could hold with this group of guys, because we've had a handful of coaches, Coach Yoro, Coach Abe, Mr. Shoulders himself, Coach Chris Brown, along with Coach Timmy Chang, all say that this is their dream job. This is where they want to end up. Coach Reinebold, another one, tweeting literally every other week on his Twitter account something about Hawaii. The guy has wanted to come back to Hawaii for the last 15 years. So that's what gets me most excited about what we have right here.
Yeah, it's something to be pumped about, and we are nearing the start of that regime taking the field in an actual contest. All right, big thanks to Coach Chang. Big thanks to to everybody setting that up as well. We'll take a quick halftime break and then get into some of the news and notes through basically the third week of training camp here. Before we hit the halftime, I want to remind everybody that Hawaii Football Now is brought to you by Hawaii USA Federal Credit Union. Originally opened in 1936 as a credit union for educators, Hawaii USA has inspired a culture of giving that is rooted in education and has since become Hawaii's largest credit union and expanded to other areas of community need that impact financial health, including healthcare, housing, and hunger. To learn more, please visit hawaiiusafcu.com. All right, second half coming up.
This is Hawaii Football Now from ESPN Honolulu.
All right, time for the second half here on episode 50, the Big 5-0 of Hawaii Football Now. Jordan, Helle, Hunter, Hughes back with you. A couple of notes when it comes to watching the University of Hawaii football team this year. Season tickets now on sale. You can check that out on the UH website. Those now available. Obviously, it's a little different now with them being in the reduced capacity of the Ching Athletic Complex. A lot of those, obviously when it was at Aloha Stadium, there were more than 10,000 season ticket holders, and now you're in a venue that basically fits that. And so if you've got an opportunity, go ahead, check it out, try and get some season tickets. I'd imagine that's going to take up a bunch of the capacity there when you factor in the student section, when you factor in the visiting section, when you factor in some of the game day sales and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure what that ratio is going to look like. But if you got your chance, snap up, for those 7 home games, you can check that out on the UH website, as we mentioned, as well as the pay-per-view package has been set as well. Last week, we mentioned which games were going to be on Spectrum pay-per-view. We know the pricing now for the season package. That's all 8 games, 8 of the 13 games for the University of Hawaii that will be on Spectrum. $399.99, basically $400. It works out to be about $50 per game if you buy the season package, or if you buy per individual game, it'll be $70. Full disclosure, I work for Spectrum. I cover games. I do some of the UH stuff as well. I know it's a hot button topic. I don't love it either. I haven't really loved it since I was a kid. But if you are going to go check that out, those are the numbers that you will be faced with when it comes down to it. So we did want to put that out there for the folks. But any thoughts on that, Hunter, as we get into that's basically how you can watch the team, right? You got to get tickets to go down, or you got to watch them on TV.
Absolutely. And this is a good jumping off point. I just had a great conversation with Chris Hart and the head of marketing at UH just yesterday. To add a little context to those listening at home, we're back to full capacity. Although the stadium itself is less capacity than Aloha Stadium, TC Ching is at full capacity now. So no more Lumi site. Needing to download an app to make sure that you are all good to go into the game. Full concessions are back. No more just water bottles or, sneaking in something it's all welcome. Like, we are back full-fledged. That comes straight from the marketing department at University of Hawaii. Wanted to make sure that was upfront on our end as well. Jordan, you've been down there at TC Ching. It's a phenomenal, intimate, fun, student section is right there, right on the sideline. You feel like you're a part of the game. Sometimes Aloha Stadium, it was so big and echoey and vacant that you're like, am I really a part of this? It's impossible not to feel a part of it at TC Ching, because the guys are literally in your front lap. It's loud, it's energetic, great new kind of scoreboard and TV kind of on the right side. That'd be the north west end zone of the field. And it's a great game day environment. And if there's any inclination that these guys knew what they were doing at the spring game, they're going to know what they're going to do come fall for our first game against Vanderbilt. So get those season tickets, guys. It's going to be a great season.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And look, obviously you'd like a little bit of a bigger capacity, but it is what it is. I think the fact that they can get the students down there very easily, and the fact that it's full capacity, I think it'll be a really good atmosphere for home games. I think it's going to be a tough place to come play for these visiting programs because, as you point out, I mean, everybody is on top of the field, right? It is a very, very intimate atmosphere. One other note as well, Kako'o UH an outside group that has done tremendous work. They've got a raffle going. You can buy raffle tickets, and it'll be entered for 2 season tickets. So you can go that route as well. You can check them out on the social media. You can check them out online as well. But did want to kind of put that out there for the folks. If you're interested, you can go ahead and buy as many raffle tickets as you want. I think it's like $25 a pop. You can go check that out and enter to win a pair of season tickets. You mentioned you were down there at practice for some early coverage. I know ESPN Honolulu was down there as well. You and Chris Hart were a good amount in a training camp out there now, but you have anything more to share of kind of that experience or some of your observations of the practices?
Yeah, it was that was an interesting experience, watching an experience practice with Chris Hart. He was asking all kinds of fun questions, like what are the trash cans for? For those listening at home, Division I football practice, they use trash cans as kind of placeholders for the offensive line, and so the quarterbacks will usually use them for reads. The defense will practice breaking through the line of scrimmage. Instead of going through a real person, they go through a trash can. So Chris is always like, "Oh, the trash cans are over here now. What does that mean?" Which was kind of entertaining. There was one time where Coach Abe Elamimium had the cornerbacks literally right in front of our table. It's always fun to see guys that didn't play football, Jordan, a little antsy when there's big football guys flying around, and for
moving fast, man. They're moving fast.
They're moving fast. They're not small. You can't teach big, and Division I size. It can make non-athletes feel a little uneasy. So that part was super fun to kind of watch and experience. And for me to interview and talk with some of the coaches in an informal kind of relaxed environment down on the field, sometimes they can kind of, I don't want to say put on a front, but kind of be in media mode, if they will, whenever they're outside of the field. And so to get Coach Timmy Chang, Coach Reinebold, and Coach Abe as well, in kind of their natural element on the football field, lean back in a lounge chair, just kind of hanging out, talking UH football again. It's good stuff. It was not a bad way to start my week at all, even though it was a 5:15 wake up call. And outside of that, the team looks great, Jordan. There's great symmetry going on between various quarterbacks and the receivers. For those listening at home, I saw primarily 3 guys taking the 1 reps. First of all, Braden Shager, Joey Yellen, the transfer from Pitt, and then Jake Farrell jumping in there as well. So they still have not named a starter, but if I was to put my hat on anyone, it would be one of those 3 just right now from what I'm seeing. And to add a little more context on top of that, we have not yet begun installing for Vanderbilt yet, or getting prepared for Vanderbilt with scout team and that type of a practice. It was a full practice where it wasn't split up, but everybody was there just in sort of an install, getting our offense and defense established. So outside of a little fight at the end of practice, which I'm always a fan of, because guys are tired of each other, Jordan, at week 3 of camp.
Oh yeah.
That's just going to happen. Outside of that, it was a great day at practice.
Yeah, and that's to be perfectly candid, very normal.
Very normal.
for football training camps. So, yeah. How on the note of the quarterbacks, how soon do you feel that they need to kind of zero in on a guy? And maybe they kind of have, and they're working that internally and having some of those meetings and discussions, obviously as a staff, and then obviously with the quarterback group themselves. But how soon do you think that they need to settle in on the guy who's going to get the start against Vandy?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because I feel like naming your quarterback has a lot to do with unifying your team. I grew up in church, Jordan, so I automatically think biblical with everything. But there's a line in Proverbs about when there's no vision, the people fail. And where there's no quarterback that people fail to on the football field, if you will. So I personally would love for them to make a decision a little quicker. However, I will say, given this particular group of guys, I don't know if we necessarily need the guy, one specific dude, because it's a highly competitive quarterback room. Guys have shown that they can kind of step in there and do what they're supposed to do. Coach Shoemaker has even made some comments in that same avenue of things of, hey, we'll play however many that we need to. And we're prepared to, I think Timmy might have even said something on the lines of we're prepared to go into week one, not even naming a quarterback. So it doesn't seem like a very high priority from this coaching staff, that they're more just worried about whoever's in there. You're going to take care of the football, and are we capable of scoring points? Because that's what Coach Shoemaker is known for, and we don't expect anything different here at Hawaii.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're scoring points, hey, nobody's really going to complain, right? But if you're not, then it's like, okay, maybe settle on a guy, right? It's going to be interesting. They had the scrimmage last week, Friday. It was a shortened one. Some guys were banged up, some guys out with illness and things. I think it was 31 total plays in the, the first kind of real scrimmage type atmosphere. This was this past Friday. Braden Shager took the first reps in that one. Then you had Jake Farrell, then Cameron Cooper, then Armani Eden in that order, and Timmy Chang talking to the media afterwards, saying that the four of them stand out a little bit. They'll go back and look at the film and see how they want to divvy up reps. But as you've kind of observed, Hunter, it's still very fluid is what it seems.
Very, very fluid. And they are, and sometimes Rolo, it kind of felt like he was almost strategic in the way that he conducted practice, like really being secretive about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And to some degree, I understand that. You never know who, from Vanderbilt in our situation is prowling the bowels of Hawaii internet trying to figure out.
Maybe, man, they got an alum out there, who's making it to practice in the morning, sending back to Knoxville to Nashville the intel card,
Yeah. I don't feel that same sort of paranoia. That's a good word. I don't feel that same sort of paranoia from Coach Timmy and Coach Shoemaker. It kind of feels like they're way more focused on big picture stuff, unity. And really, Jordan, coming down to the season, as long as they nail it down to maybe 3 or 4 guys, that's what it's going to look like in a day in, day out practice anyway. The other 2 will go down to scout team. They'll run the scout team against our first team defense. And then the other 3 or 4, because we've got 6 quarterbacks on the roster now with Chad Owens Jr. jumping over to wide receiver. Those other guys will be down over on the offense, and one can shift in there or take the place of the other very seamlessly. So I don't really see it as that big of an issue.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. One quick note on Chad Owens Jr. as well. Stephen Tsai reporting the other day that Chad Owens Jr. was going to undergo some foot procedure. So not exactly sure the timetable and the length and severity of that, but we wish him well and hopefully a quick recovery. One last quick note on the scrimmages and the practices. Dedrick Parson got a little bit of a rest in there. We saw a freshman running back out of Texas, Jordan Johnson, break off an 80-yard touchdown run. The other freshman from Texas, Tylen Hines, got some good reps as well. So it does seem to be that there's, Dedrick Parson, I think, is among the more highly regarded returnees for the University of Hawaii. Seeing him get some preseason accolades, some preseason recognition, I think very warranted. Last year when Day Hunter was a little banged up, he came in and was just a workhorse, man, and really tough runner between the tackles, especially down in the red area. But it seems to be a little depth building here in some of those youngsters stepping up a little bit with opportunities given.
Yeah, totally. And with that, Jordan, I am usually not having to consult the roster whenever I'm down at practice. I have
a lot of new faces.
Oh my gosh, man. It seems like 75% of the team whenever I'm down there. New faces, new names. I'm constantly, hey, how's it going? I'm Hunter to everybody. And they all call me coach, which is weird. Yeah, it's a super brand new environment with coaches, with players. But Jordan, we're only 2 weeks away, man. We're at the cusp.
We are not far out. That is for sure. All right. One last quick note before we head into the end of this pod. A little Bows in the Pros update. Cortez Davis just today, Tuesday, signing with the Arizona Cardinals, former University of Hawaii corner. So we wish him the best there. Excited to see how maybe that plays out as they get into some of these preseason games. Quick, some of the comments, getting some love there. Our guy Scott definitely guessed it. He called it Coach Timmy Chang is a special guest for the 50th episode.
Well done,
shout out to you, Scott. Getting that past you. So that'll about kind of do it for us as our overtime. I just wanted to give a big mahalo to all the listeners, everybody who's listened, who's watched on the streams, the supporters through the first 50 episodes. It really has flown by, I think, in large part because honestly, it's been a lot of fun with you, Hunter, and with our guys. Our producers over time. We started off with Ku'ule Agbayani, who's gone on to some exciting things in her own career. Keegan Ohta with us for a time, and then our guy Jaren Kobashigawa, who has taken the helms and run with this thing. He has hustled and done a lot of the heavy lifting for us and made our lives very, very easy. And big shouts to you as well, Hunter, man. This has been a lot of fun. We're looking forward to the next 50, looking forward to the next couple, because that means that we're going to get into another season here. We thought we were going to have like big lulls during the off season. We were like, all right, it's going to be a weekly show. We can't miss a week. We haven't missed a week yet, knock on wood. But we thought we were going to run into some moments during the off season where it's like, man, I don't know, we might be stretching for content. We really haven't gotten there yet. There was so much to talk about in the last 50 weeks. It's kind of crazy, but just a big thanks to everybody out there before we head out and close out this episode. But I think you probably feel the same way, Hunter, but it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we got a lot more ahead of us.
Yeah, man, absolutely. We survived not only the COVID and everything involved with that. We survived horrible Graham era. Can we just like call a spade a spade? And we are into the bright and shining future of the Timmy Chang Brotherhood. And I'm thankful, Jordan, you and I, along with our team, have kind of been able to ride the coattails and hang in the pocket, if you will, amidst all the pressure. Yeah, man, from me to you, super thankful to be on the journey with you. And yeah, shout out to Ku'ule, Keegan, and Jaren, obviously, for everything you guys do. You're the glue that makes this happen. Me and Jordan just kind of pop off, and you guys make us look good. So
we'll have to get Jaren on and get his takes on some things, man. We're gonna put him to work, put a face on the pod as well. And big thanks to him for editing this multi-part episode together as well. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks again, everybody. We really appreciate it. Thanks to Spectrum Mobile, to Hawaii USA Federal Credit Union for sponsoring the pod as well. For Hunter, I'm Jordan. This has been Hawaii Football Now, presented by Xanthison. We'll see you next week. The countdown is really, really on when it comes to the start of the 2022 season. A big thanks to Coach Timmy Chang once again as well. See you next week, everybody. Aloha.
You've been listening to Hawaii Football Now with Jordan Helle and Hunter Hughes, all from ESPN Honolulu.